I did not take that T marker either, by the way. It was a gift, fully legitimate. Okay, so it's 4 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the Stessa Quick Start webinar. I think most of you have signed up in the last couple of weeks, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So hopefully you've gotten a few emails from us already to get you started and have had a little time to play around in the software yourself. But sometimes it's just helpful to see it in action and get your questions answered directly. So that's what today's all about. So overview for today, we'll spend the next half hour, maybe a little more, trying to help you get from 0 to 60 with Stessa. It's always tough to learn a new software platform, and those first early days can be kind of tricky till you learn where everything is and how to actually get some benefit out of it. So hopefully we can accelerate that process for you today, and also cultivate some good habits so that you're able to use Stessa to manage your properties, your portfolio, in the way that you want in as little time as possible. And then also at the end, we'll touch on some more advanced features so that you have a good understanding of what's next, where you can go with Stessa from here. Today's not about every single thing Stessa can do. There's a lot in there, and we don't have time to cover it all, but we will be doing some more advanced webinars down the road to help you take things to the next level. Today's also not about giving you advice, official or even unofficial, accounting, tax, investment, legal advice. Those are all things you should get from a professional. And we don't give tax advice. Our software is very flexible and you can do a lot with it on the accounting front. But those are decisions you're making, hopefully in consultation with a good CPA, someone with some real estate experience. So just want to be very clear that that's the setup. And then we've got a quick disclaimer here. Same thing on the legal, tax, accounting advice. Anything we present today is for informational purposes only. You should really work with your own attorney, your agent, and advisor, whether that's around buying or selling real estate or anything that happens in between. Okay, now we've got that out of the way. I'm Devin Redman. I run customer success for Stessa. I joined back in 2018. So it was pretty early days. I took part in some of the design work and the launch of a lot of the features we'll go through today. So I've been there quite a while now. We were acquired by Roofstock a few months ago, and we've been working with their teams to integrate our software into some of the things they're doing and vice versa. So I think we've got a lot of resources in place now. And we've got some good things coming up through the rest of the year here and beyond. So I'm excited about that. My job every day at Stessa, I'm really trying to focus on understanding rental property owners' needs. I'm an owner myself, so that helps me walk in your shoes, understand what the issues are, and then feed that back into the software to see how we can try to solve some of those. I manage our support team, so if you've got a question and you're using the chat box in the product, going back and forth, it's usually with either me or Victor. We try to be very responsive and get you answers quickly. I've also taken a big lead in developing our help articles and all of our educational resources. And then there's also a bunch of video tutorials. I have a big background in commercial real estate. So a lot of what I try to do at Stessa is bring that sort of analytical rigor from my past experience to residential rental property owners. And hopefully you can see that in some of our reporting and some of the more advanced things we're doing. And then, like I mentioned, I've owned and managed rental property both in California and Hawaii. So that's a big part of what I do outside of work. Like I mentioned, we're part of Roofstock now. So what that means for you is absolutely you can continue using Stessa the way you have. Hopefully there's more new features coming out based on the new resources and the input we've got from Roofstock. And then, also Roofstock is a great place to look for properties. They've got great listings in some places where yields are pretty good still. And it's a great resource also on the educational side. So they've got a lot of information around 1031 exchanges and then a Roofstock Academy for newer investors. So I encourage you to check that out. And the idea here is that, with Roofstock combining with Stessa, you've got the whole investment life cycle kind of set up. So you can buy on Roofstock, you can bring your properties real seamlessly into Stessa, do your accounting and finances there. When it's time to sell, Roofstock has a great process for doing that. And a lot of the data can move back and forth very easily, which reduces a lot of the friction and helps you save money on a lot of the transaction costs along the way. So that's a big part of why we're part of Roofstock now. Okay, in terms of Stessa, how to get set up with Stessa and why it's important to get off on the right foot. We've talked to a lot of investment property owners, a lot of whom have spent a lot of time on Stessa, figuring out how to make it work for them. And these are a few of the things that have kind of risen to the surface, especially in the very beginning, about how to get set up in the right way. So if you've got just one property in Stessa because you're testing it out, that's great. You can see a lot of the functionality that way. But in my mind, the real advantages and benefits come when you start to add your second, third, fourth, fifth property, whatever you've got. Get a few in there into Stessa to check it out, and then you can start to run the portfolio level analysis that I think really sets us apart from some of the other similar platforms. Once you connect your bank, mortgage, and credit card accounts, that's really a big game changer. Getting all that data seamlessly makes things a lot easier. So while you can add transactions manually, that gets pretty tiring pretty fast. And so I'm sure a lot of you have, a credit card here. You've got maybe a property manager running some of your numbers for you. Getting all that connected so that all your data is in one place and you can see it all at once. We found that to be a real key, important factor in making Stessa work for you. So give that a shot right off the bat. Sometimes there's some challenges around, giving your bank credentials. We do all of this through Yodlee InvestNet, which is a third-party secure banking data provider. So we don't store your credentials. That all happens between Yodlee and the bank. And they've got great, long-term relationships, and it's very secure and it works well. So give that a try, see if it works for you. The other thing we recommend is making Stessa a bit of a habit. So logging in at least once a month, preferably every couple of weeks. Sometimes the bank connections can get a little bit fritzy, so it's good to be checking in regularly and kind of making sure that things are still running smoothly, that you're getting your data. And then it's not overwhelming that way if you do log in only every 6 months, you can have a lot of data all of a sudden at once that you got to deal with, and that can seem kind of overwhelming. So, personally, people who seem to be most successful on the platform are keeping up with their transaction flow, categorizing things, making sure it's all assigned to the right property, on a monthly basis. So, and that's all about, confirming, categorizing the income and expenses as you go. That also helps you understand, okay, where am I this month? Where was I last month? What do I need to do this next month? I've often found that a lot of owners only get these questions answered and only get a sense for where they are once or twice a year when they talk to their CPA and they have to do their taxes. And by that time, it's often too late to change things. And everyone's so busy that then it's hard to get set up the right way for the next year. So I actually think the summer is a great time to kind of wrangle your data, understand where you are, maybe even set up a call with your CPA and start to do some planning and strategizing while things aren't too busy. Update your mortgages and valuations regularly. This one is pretty important for understanding what your balance sheet looks like. Some of this data updates automatically in Stessa, some doesn't, depends on how you're set up. We're connected to Zillow, so for valuations, you can get data that way. You can also enter your own custom valuation if you don't like what Zillow's telling you. So that's another one that I recommend kind of doing monthly. And then, financial reports. This is the output, right, from all the work and effort you put into cleaning up your data, categorizing things. This is where you understand how you're doing, where you can share reports with lenders, partners, There's about 10 different reports that are available in Stessa now. I think when I started, we had 2 or 3. So that's been a big place where we've invested, and it makes it worthwhile to spend all the time to get your data right, so that you can really understand how your assets are performing. And then those reports are super helpful in understanding, am I on budget? So we also have a pro forma feature where you can set up your baseline and then compare that to how you're actually doing reporting wise. If you've got a water leak, or you've got a big portfolio and you've got one tenant that you didn't notice is now 3 months behind, those are the kinds of things that'll really surface when you're looking at those reports. So those are my recommendations for the good habits to get yourself in a pattern of doing right from the start. Okay, so let's jump into a live demo, and I can show everyone around the product a little bit. So let me share my screen here. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. If you can't, please let me know in the chat window. Otherwise, I will proceed along here. So let's start with the properties menu. So this is one of the first places you'll want to set things up. Obviously, it's all about your properties. You can enter as many as you want in Stessa. You can organize them by portfolio. So with this demo account, we have 2 separate portfolios set up. If you need to move a property between portfolios, you can just grab it there, drag and drop. You can move things around. Some people arrange things by LLC or by geography. Whatever works for you in terms of keeping things organized and clear. It also then flows through to your reporting. So if you need to see reports in a certain way, you want to align your reporting with your structure here on the properties page. In terms of overview, you get a nice shot here of everything that's going on across your portfolio. So your occupancy numbers roll up here, your acquisition prices, your market value. So this comes from your valuation. That's something you can manage separately. Your loan balance here. So keeping this up to date is important, so that this page is always accurate. And then this computes your implied equity in each property. If you need to add a new portfolio, you do that right down here. Add properties is here, pretty self-explanatory. One thing that's a little hidden on this page is the add collaborators feature. So right here, this little button, if you click this, this is how you would invite a partner or a CPA or just about anyone else to share access to your account. So you do that by email, and then you can choose their permissions. So manager gives them a lot of rights, editor gives them some rights, read-only gives them the right to see things but not change any data. So if you have an assistant or someone that helps you deal with transactions, giving them this editor level of access can make things a lot easier for you if you've got someone else teed up to go in there and do a lot of the busier work directly. So that's a good one to remember. Up here, you've got the ability to then manage your collaborators. Once you've set that up, you can revoke rights if you need to, or add additional people. Each property then, if you click on the thumbnail photo, there's another level here where you can dig a little deeper. So this is where you manage the valuation by property. So you can see for this demo property we have in Boulder, Colorado, looks like it's been a while since we updated this estimate. So we'll go ahead and hit this update button. And there you have the new updated number, which will then flow through to that properties page that we were just looking at. So this is not a page where you need to spend a lot of time on an ongoing basis necessarily, but it is a good one to get set up early on. You can use this property notes section for all kinds of reference. So for my properties in Hawaii, I use this. I've got a Rolodex of people that, I'm not there all the time. So I got to call someone to deal with something. I've got all their numbers and names in the notes section here, so I can look it up real easily. This uses HTML in the background. So if you know a little bit about HTML, you can even format it, put your returns in, bold certain other things. This page also a good place to set up your pro forma expenses. So this column right here is available for input. You can use this as a budgeting exercise, and that then flows through to some of your charts and metrics on other pages when you're doing comparisons against actuals. So some of these fill in automatically. If we're able to pull property tax records, you can get that, and this number will be filled in for you. That's where the italics come from. Same on mortgages and loans. If you have a mortgage set up already somewhere in Stessa, this will populate for you automatically. So this is a good place to start when you don't have a lot of actual data yet. If you just acquired a property, come in here, set up your pro forma. It'll give you a baseline, and then that makes it real easy to check your actual numbers against how you're doing. So I think those are the highlights on the properties page. You can always, there's pickers up here at the top of a lot of the pages where you can switch between properties. So real easy to jump to another property. We'll see, maybe we've got a valuation to update here too. The market is hot. All right, so that's properties. Digging in a little deeper, each property obviously has tenants. That's what owning rental property is all about. So the leases and tenants page is where you set those up. And you also manage your units here. So if something's, maybe you've got a triplex, and when you set it up on Stessa, it only came up as 2 units. You can manage that right here. So these gear icons are important ways to find options. So oftentimes if you're trying to figure out how to do something, this is where it probably lives. So you can add a unit here. You can add other income like laundry, parking, etc. You can remove units. You can also download your rent roll if you've already set it up, or import it from CSV if you have a large property with a lot of units and you don't want to do it manually. This page is also very dynamic. So once you have your tenants set up, you'll get a flag here. Hopefully it's green if they're current. There's a yellow flag if they're past due, and there's a red flag if they're delinquent, if they're really behind. So it's a good way, especially if you have a lot of properties, a lot of tenants, to kind of quickly at a glance see what your rent collection status is, and then dig in on the ones that are not what you want them to be. So let's jump into one of the tenants here. This page can look a little intimidating, a little overwhelming. It's designed to be powerful and to let you set up all of the details that would then inform the tenant ledger and the rent status. And you can actually do a lot of historical tracking here too as well. You can enter past tenants. You can enter future tenants if you sign a new lease. So all of this is managed directly. A lot of these are clickable. So if you're trying to update something, give it a click. Usually a modal will open, and then you can change tenant names, phone number, keep track of their contact info there. This is where you set up leases over here on this side. So all of these are editable, scheduled rent, start date, end date, and you can even input grace period and late fees here. And this will help with some of the calculations on the tenant ledger down the road. The tenant ledger is down here at the bottom of the leases and tenants page for each tenant. And this ties into your transactions page. So as we'll see in a moment on transactions, you can, once you've got your data coming in, that'll log your rents. That income can be tied to a specific unit or a specific tenant. And that then flows into this transaction ledger here. So anything with this icon is an automatically generated charge. So it's in the charge column based on the info you've inputted right here. So those get generated automatically and are then balanced against actual payments coming from your transactions page. So if this payment was missing, this would show a $11.50 balance, and then you'd have a colored flag on the higher level page to alert you that something was going on there. You can also adjust the balance. So let's say you've had a tenant in place for 5 years, you only want to track the most recent year. You can go to this adjust balance and you can say, okay, let's cut the tenant ledger off at a custom date. I don't want to go back and have to log all those actual transactions from 2 years ago. So we'll just start fresh. So that's a good way to manage tenants that have been in place a long time and you maybe don't have all the data. And then past tenants are shown further down on the page. So when a tenant moves out, all of this information stays if you'd like it to. So it's a great way to just kind of archive things in case you need to go back, check something out, or your CPA has a question, the next October because you're on extension and it's been a while since you actually talked to that tenant. You can easily switch between units up here and same deal. So we talked about transactions. I'll actually jump over to the transactions page now and we'll do it this way. So a lot of this data is linked. So while this is an actual payment, you can click on these and it'll take you to the transactions page and open up that transaction for you. So there it is, Christine and Jim paid their $1,200 in rent. So if you've got something that doesn't look right on the ledger, give it a click, pop over to the transaction page, and it's real easy to then kind of see what's going on. So on the transactions page, this is the most dynamic part of the product. This is where you'll probably end up spending the most time. And it's a place where all your data, line items, income and expenses, it's where it all lives. So when you link up bank accounts, when you connect to a credit card, if you're importing data via a file, if you're adding transactions manually, they all live here. And a lot of what you'll be doing on this page is probably categorizing information. So while Stessa is pretty good at auto-categorizing as much as possible, a lot of times we'll get data from a bank that simply doesn't have enough information or description on it for us to know exactly what it is. So when that happens, you'll see instead of a category here, you'll see choose category. And you click there, and then here's the full list of categories where you can assign it to the right place. Now, interestingly, let's say this was an admin and other. You don't have to pick a subcategory either. So if there's not a perfect subcategory, you can just click the top level category. And it's still in that bucket. It's just not in a sub bucket. And our philosophy is, we give you a lot of subcategories, the most relevant ones for residential rental property owners. And we actually don't let you set up custom subcategories, in part because it makes the reporting really complicated and it makes it very difficult to do accurate benchmarking across all the owners on Stessa, which is something we're committed to doing in the long run to help you understand, okay, am I paying the right amount for insurance? Am I paying too much for this lawn and garden work in this area? Those are the kinds of questions we want to answer over time. It's also just, it keeps it simple, whereas Stessa is designed to be an alternative to a full service program like QuickBooks, where you can kind of do anything, but it's unclear exactly what to do. Stessa takes the other approach, like this should be enough categories for you. If there's a category that you're really needing, we've got a forum wish list where you can post that, other people vote on it, and as certain things rise to the top and become more popular, we end up building those. So you can also do your property assignments here. This is where you pick the property, and then you can also jump down to the unit level. And especially for rents, that's important because you want to make sure the rent is assigned to the right tenancy so that it shows up on your ledger in the right place. So I'll put this one back as rents. There it is, assigned to the right tenant, and that should flow through the way you want it. The search is very powerful. It works great. You can also filter by dates, filter by category. You can filter by amount. So these all give you a lot of different options to find what you're looking for. Okay, I'll take a quick break there. If anyone has specific questions on what we've covered so far, maybe drop them into the chat window. Is there a category for a cash out refinance? Yes, there is. So if you have a big cash out, like a loan proceeds number, there's actually a category. Let me find it here. Mortgages and loans, proceeds and payoffs. And if it's a big money in number, that would be a money in, so it would be a refund basically. That's our sort of how we note that something is a reverse or contra what that category typically is. So loan proceeds would go under here, mortgages and loans, proceeds and payoffs. That then flows through to a special section on one of the reports where it'll show both your both your proceeds and your payoff if you did a refinance, so that it doesn't gum up your regular monthly net cash flow reporting. Hopefully that answers the question. Anything else on transactions or leases and tenants at the moment? Okay, great. Let's jump over to reporting. So for reports, we've spent a lot of time this year making them as interactive as possible. So while the default view is this sort of in-browser HTML view, all of these numbers are linked. So anytime you see something on a report that you don't understand or you're wondering how we got that number, if you click it, it'll go to the transaction page and it'll automatically sort out just those numbers that are behind the math. So it's a great way to cross-check your data and see what's going on. Reports generally, it defaults to the last 12 months. These are all available on a monthly basis. You can look for last calendar year. You can set up your own dates. You can run them by month, where the columns across the top are months. You can also do it by property if you have a big portfolio, or you can combine it all into a single column if that's helpful. I usually leave this setting to by subcategory so that it shows all the detail. If you have a lot of things in a lot of subcategories, you can just click by category here and it'll roll things up and give you a shorter report, easier to print, easier to share. In terms of the actual reports, the income statement is operations only, so it excludes all financing activity. It excludes things like a cash out refinance, a purchase and sale. So if you really just want to focus in on what's going on operationally at the property, use the income statement. For anything going to your CPA or that is an end of year roll up, really want to use the net cash flow report, and that's why we default to the net cash flow report when you go to the reports page. It's the most comprehensive, the most thorough, and includes everything that is really relevant. We also have a balance sheet. So this is great if you've got all your accounts connected and want to see balances. If you want to see your outstanding mortgage amounts on a single page, the balance sheet is the place to do that. The rent roll is just what it sounds like. It's got all your tenants by unit, their rent, their day they moved in, when they expire. So that's a good one to share with lenders sometimes if they're wondering what's going on with your portfolio, what are your rents, can you afford this new loan? They probably want to see the rent roll. Tenant Ledger is great for tracking who's paid how much and when. So it does a nice job of flagging any issues that you can dig in on yourself or ask your PM to deal with. The schedule of real estate owned is another good one for lenders. This is a summary of your entire portfolio. So it includes the valuations, equity balances, mortgage amounts by property. So it's a great kind of high level view of everything you have going on. The general ledger is a full dump of all transactions data for a given time period. So if you have a CPA that really wants to dig into the details, this is the report to provide. CapEx is another good one for your CPA. This tracks anything you've spent on the capital side. You can also assign useful life and date placed in service. And then that all shows up on this report. And so while Stessa does not have a separate depreciation report or tracking for depreciation, this capital expenses report can get your CPA to kind of the 10-yard line, and then it's really easy to go the rest of the way with the data that's in this report. Tax package is a meta report. So this basically rolls up capital expenses, your net cash flow report, all your receipts in a zip file. So at the end of the year, or when you're looking back on the prior year, this is a nice way to kind of tie it all up. You get an email with links to each of the key reports, which you can then forward to other people as you like. And then the stress test is something we put together when the pandemic hit about a year ago, when we were getting questions about, how can I see how vulnerable I am to a drop in rent collections? Well, the stress test is a great way to do it. We built a model where you can say, okay, let's imagine I'm only getting 60% of my projected or expected rent. What does that look like versus how much cash I have in the bank? How is my portfolio going to hold up? And the stress test helps you understand that. So give that a try if you're interested. Real quickly, last topic here, we'll hit the documents page. This is basically a Dropbox for real estate documents. So anything that you've got in terms of leases, settlement statements, contracts, mortgage docs, you can toss everything in here in your documents folder and categorize and assign by property. And then it's really easy to find stuff in the future. So if you're tracking something down, a lease maybe from 2 years ago, as long as you've got the right keywords in the title or the notes, those are real easy to find here. And it's totally free included, and is very, very helpful if you've got a lot of paperwork that you want to get out of your file cabinets. Okay, so that was kind of a whirlwind live demo of all the key features. Like I said earlier, this is recorded, so if you need to go back and look up how to do something specific, that's available to you. Any other questions right now? I see a few coming in here. If we add a receipt manually or transaction, will it match up later on? So yes, in theory, we do quite a bit of deduping. So if you set up a transaction manually and it comes in from your bank account later, or let's say you scan a receipt later, it should match up. If the dates match and the amount matches and there's enough data overlapping, we'll automatically merge them. To the extent that doesn't happen, and it seems like it should, definitely reach out and let us know. There are some edge cases where we still have a little bit of tweaking to do to get the algorithm right. But yes, it is designed to do that. How do you add expenses not related to a specific property? Okay, yeah, so that's a great question. You can actually assign an expense or an income item to a portfolio. So in that column where you pick a property, you can actually just choose the portfolio name one level up and assign things at that level. That then generates a separate column on your financial reporting where you'll be able to see just the higher level, portfolio level expenses. Let's see, how far back can the system go to get the bank feed? Yeah, so our system can go back as far as the bank will let us. So some banks, that's years. A lot of banks, it seems to be 90 days. Sometimes it's only 60 or 30. So, I know that's something people would like to have when they're first getting set up, is the ability to just pull in everything. A lot of it's out of our control, depends on what the bank will let us do. So if you do only get 30 or 60 days, you can actually upload a data file that banks usually make available for the prior time periods. And that's generally the most efficient way to get all your data into Stessa. And there's a great help article on how to do that. So hopefully that answers all the questions. I'm going to jump back into the slides here. And just hit some quick highlights on some of the other things Stessa can do. I showed you a little bit about how to do valuations, Zestimates, You can also run valuations based on a cap rate or a gross rent multiplier. So if you're familiar with those metrics, we've got that built right into the system in that valuation widget. I showed you how to invite collaborators and manage their access rights. We also have mobile apps. So for both iOS and Android, we released Android last year. There are great native mobile apps that give you the ability to manage your transactions on the go. You can also scan receipts. So a lot of people use it for that. And as I mentioned, a lot of those receipts will then match up with existing transactions so that you've got that backup in case you need it. The receipt scanner is pretty cool too. If there's not already a transaction in place, you can just submit it and then it generates a transaction automatically and auto fills in as much of the data as possible. So it's not perfect. It doesn't always work 100% for me, but it gets you 80% of the way there, sometimes all the way. And that can be a great way to keep track of all that paper and not have to actually have it in a shoebox or sitting around your house. Split and merge transactions, those are features available on the transactions page. The split is great for mortgage data. So if your lender or your bank just gives you that one transaction each month, you can use the split feature to split it into interest, principal, maybe you pay an escrow at the same time. And you can do that all on one screen where you've got your data in front of you. And then boom, you hit split and you've got 3 transactions. Those then flow through to your reports the way you'd expect them to, so you can see your interest separate from your principal. So that's a great one. Merging is good when you've got maybe 2 receipts from the same day, same place, and you just want to put them together into one. Or you scanned a receipt, for whatever reason the system didn't find the perfect match from your bank that was already in there. You can just merge those, and that way you don't lose any data and you don't have to retype anything. So those tools are in that upper right corner on the transactions page. If you're doing split, you'll have to select a transaction first. You do that through the little checkbox on the far left, and then the split button will engage for you and you can do your split. Same thing with merge, you got to select a couple transactions and then you can merge. A lot of people have reached out about house hacking and said, hey, I've got a hybrid property. I live in one unit and I rent the other out. How do I deal with that on Stessa? Other people have reached out about short-term rentals. The metrics don't necessarily line up. If I'm doing short-term rentals, how do I enter the leasing data? We've got great help articles on how to handle both of those scenarios. So we've built some special features for short-term rental owners where you can switch a property over to short-term instead of long-term. And all of that's discussed in those 2 help articles. In terms of receipts and documents, we also have email inboxes for those. So if you have something in your email account, same email that you're using for your Stessa account, you can actually just forward it to either receipts@stessa.com or documents@stessa.com. And those will automatically populate either to the transactions page for receipts or that documents page that we just explored for documents. So that can be a big time saver. You don't even have to log into Stessa to do that. You just send them. And then, whenever you log in next, they'll be there waiting for you. Okay, so that is the basic content for the webinar. I want to give you a couple additional resources where you can learn more, dig in on specific items. We've got a ton of help articles. I think we're up to about 50 now. Some of those have demo videos. A lot of them have screenshots and kind of step-by-step steps for accomplishing certain things. So that's all at support.stessa.com. It's a great place to start if you've got questions and want to get answers right away in real time. For demo videos, you can go to our Vimeo account directly if you just want to see all the videos in one place. Otherwise, they're kind of spread out throughout the help articles. I try to do those whenever we launch a new feature so that everyone's up to speed right away and can see something in action. There's actually a great one there on something I didn't show you on the transaction page. Up at the top, there's a trash tab. So that's something we just launched recently. Once you delete something, it lives in the trash for 30 days if you need to get it back. And so there's a great new demo video on how to use a trash can. There's also one on purchase, sale, and refinance. related to the question we had earlier about the cash out refi. It can get a little complicated. So in that demo video, I kind of walk you through how to enter those as transactions and then where to find them in terms of reporting. We also have a great community forum that is pretty active these days. It's a good place to find answers to more obscure questions that maybe only a couple of other people had. We post answers there publicly, and then we also have a wish list there. So that's a place where people have requested new categories among 200 plus other things, including some major new features that we've actually ended up building based on votes and additional thoughts from users. So check that out if you haven't found that already. That's at community.stessa.com. Finally, if you need to reach us directly, once you're logged in on web, there's a little blue circle at the lower right. Just click that to open up a chat window. It's not real-time chat, but we will get back to you sometimes very soon. If it's evening or weekend, maybe the next morning. But we do take that very seriously and engage in those conversations. Whether you've got a problem with a bank connection or you're just looking to understand how to do something and it's not obvious from the help articles and the other stuff we put together, reach out and talk to us directly that way. On mobile, that same feature is under the support and help menu option. So I think that's it. We've got a little more time for Q&A if people have more questions. What if emailed receipts come from an email not registered to my account? So yeah, we won't be able to match it up, right? So if you're sending it from an email address that isn't the same email address in your Stessa account, it'll just get ignored because we won't know where to put it. What I do when that happens to me is I forward it to my account that is connected to Stessa, same email address, and then I forward it again to receipts or documents at stessa.com. And that works fine. So you can just forward it a few times if you need to. Okay, any other questions I can answer while we're still on? Can Stessa connect with other tools such as PropertyWare? Yes, so we can connect to property management accounts directly. We have integrations with both PropertyWare and AppFolio. So both of those you're able to set up on the data sources page, which is one of the options at the bottom left menu. That's where you set up your bank connections, your property manager accounts. So as long as your PM is publishing the monthly owner statement to the portal, the client portal, we can parse that and then bring that data in as specific transactions each month. So usually that happens mid-month, and then you'll see your data around the 15th or 16th, a day or two after your PM posts all of it for the prior month. So there's a little bit of a lag, but I think you're probably used to that already just from working with a property manager. And then, of course, those property managers don't always cover everything. So maybe you pay your mortgage directly, and that's one big advantage of Stessa is you've got this other overlay on top in terms of asset management where you can enter in all your own data separately from the things your PM is tracking, and then your PM's connected. You've got it all in one place. Yeah, so another question about CPA services. Yeah, we're open to partnering. That's something we can definitely explore offline. Obviously, Stessa's got a lot of use cases around bookkeeping and accounting, and so we're always looking to get better at that. Okay, well, let's end it there. We've got about 15 minutes before 5, and we'll give that time back to everyone. And I appreciate your attendance today, and hopefully you're better equipped now to get up and running with Stessa and get what you're expecting from it. And definitely reach out to us as the need arises in the future. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.